Welcome back to the kitchen house. You can see our Cherokee purples are still growing strong, but they're not going to be happy in this pot much longer. I need to be thinking about planting them into the garden. These are going to be long, lanky plants, and they're going to need some support. So today I'm going to build a trellis from bamboo. We have lots of bamboo growing in our garden that was planted for this purpose, to build things out of. It's a great building material. It's not going to last a long time, but honestly, I don't need it to. If I can get 4 or 5 months out of that bamboo, that'll be plenty of time for me to get these plants up and fruiting. So as I mentioned, we're going to be using our own bamboo from our garden to be building this trellis. You can see that I've cut it in ways right along the joint so that it's not hollow for very deep in here. I don't want this to be a source to collect rainwater and maybe grow mosquitoes. I also don't want the water to sit in there and start to rot it. So I've cut it off at the joints on both ends, and that's going to help it maintain its structure over time. I'm going to be using 4 of these stockier pieces to build an upright triangle like this. I'll tie this together. So I got 4 stocky pieces for the uprights, and then I have 3 longer, thinner pieces for horizontal poles that are going to be 2 on the bottom and then 1 on the top. My goal is to make almost like a pup tent structure for these tomatoes to grow on 2 rows coming up together in the middle. So I put this marker to tell me where I want the hole to put the post. It's not very deep. I'm going to use a garden hose to kind of drill deep down in to put these posts in, because it may seem like overkill now, but when this is covered in tomato vines, it's going to act like a sail if there's a really strong storm, and I don't want it to just kind of blow away. So these need to be really deep in the ground so that I'm not worrying about it flopping over later in the year. Get about maybe 8 or 10 inches deep. But now I have a decent sized hole to put this pole in. I'm going to be using this craft yarn to assemble the trellis today. After I plant the tomatoes and they start to grow, then I'll use the same yarn to string the trellis almost like a harp so that the tomatoes will have something to climb up. The main thing I want to make sure is that this pole is not really close to the ground, because as I'm stringing this later, when the plants are here, I want to be able to move the ball of yarn easily underneath it as I'm going up and down. So I'm going to make sure that it's a little bit up off the ground. I don't want it super high though, because I want the tomatoes to quickly be able to reach that string. If you've been inspired to do this and do it just the same way, I'd love to see how it works for you. If you come up with a different idea or something else, we'd love to have you post pictures of that in the comments as well. Come back and check with us next week when we're going to be putting these guys in the ground to take off